All right, I'm eating an Osaka specialty. This is Okonomiyaki. And you can get this in restaurants all over Osaka. My favorite's right in my neighborhood. They make it really delicious. I try to make it as good. Now, problem is, for overseas, there are many ingredients that you just cannot get a hold of. So what I've done is I've made my own style of okonomiyaki using ingredients that you can get in other countries. Because when my wife and I went to Switzerland, we wanted to make this for my mother, but, well, they don't have a lot of the ingredients in Switzerland that we would get here in Osaka. So, that, even though it's not using all the original ingredients, that tastes just like the okonomiyaki I can get anywhere here in Osaka. All right, so this is the outside of Japan way of making okonomiyaki. Let's go make some in the kitchen right now. Okay, one of the things that goes on top of okonomiyaki is the okonomiyaki sauce, and that's a little difficult to get outside of Japan, but we can make our own. So what I have here is 2 tablespoons of Worcester sauce, the one I could never pronounce, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. That's easy to get in most stores around the world, especially any place that carries any oriental goods. Oyster sauce has been around for a long time. 2 tablespoons of honey. Now what I want to do here is, you'll notice I'm using a very light honey. I don't want the flavor to overpower everything else. I don't want a strong tasting honey, so make sure you use a light honey for that. Clover or something like that. In this case I'm using acacia honey. And then 2 tablespoons of tomato ketchup. So what we're going to do is take all those ingredients, remember 2 tablespoons of each, and just mix them together. So put them into a bowl here. In goes the oyster sauce, honey, and the ketchup. And then all we do is blend them together. This just takes a bit of blending. You gotta make sure you get that honey dissolved in with the other. See, the honey adds sweetness, and one of the things in Osaka is that you'll notice there's more of a sweet taste to things than there is in other parts of Japan. That's kind of an Osaka trademark, is that our sauces are sweeter. Not as salty as, for example, up around Tokyo, or really salty as if you go to the other coast, the east coast of Japan, and I eat things over there, it's just a little too salty for me. All right, so that sauce is ready. Yep, that tastes good. All right, let's come back and make the okonomiyaki. Right. Now we're ready to make our okonomiyaki, or our Japanese pancake, savory pancake, whatever you want to call it. First of all, our dry ingredients. What we have here is a 1/2 cup of flour. Now, if you can, cake flour just makes it a little bit lighter, but if you don't have cake flour, regular flour will work just as well. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now, regularly in okonomiyaki, you would use what's called nagaimo. It's a long potato. You grate it up. It's very gooey, gelatinous. It adds the starch. We don't have those in other countries. It's a little hard to get. So, I've added here is, instead we're using cornstarch. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. For our wet ingredients, 2 eggs. Instead of dashi, because again, dashi not so easy to get in other countries, what I'm using is here 1/4 cup of just regular chicken stock. Just some kind of stock to flavor it. And then something you're probably not going to find in other people's recipes for okonomiyaki, but I like it in there. I like butter to just give it a little extra flavor and punch. 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Yeah, I like cooking with butter. The cabbage. What we have here is a head of cabbage, finely sliced. That's a head of cabbage about that size, and that's been very finely sliced. I cut it into pieces, into wedges, cut out the core, and then finely slice across it so you get these little tiny pieces like this. And then our meat. Now, okonomiyaki does mean as you like it, fried, cooked, whatever. Okonomi means as you like it. So you have a choice. Whenever you go into an okonomiyaki restaurant, you can get whatever you want. This one today, we're going to have pork. One of my favorites is butatama, which is pork ball. Basically is what it translates to. And what I've used here is thinly sliced pork belly, or any fatty pork thinly sliced. And this is a quarter pound or 110 grams. Now, instead of pork, you can use things like shrimp, squid, beef. Also, one I really like is kimchi. We put kimchi in there, and it's just, I don't know, just delicious that way. I've seen ones made with cheese, cognac, all kinds of different ingredients you can use. But today, we'll use pork. And what we have here is 1 tablespoon of butter to cook it in. Now, you can use just olive oil if you'd rather. As you know, I like cooking with butter. I just think it adds a lot of flavor. So let's get the butter into the fry pan. And we're going to bring that up to medium heat. Now, while that butter is melting, let's start putting the ingredients together. So, first thing we're going to do is the wet ingredients. So, in go the eggs. All right. Whisk up the eggs. And then just gonna whisk in like the soup stock and the melted butter. Let's get that cabbage out of the way for right now. Okay, so that's your wet ingredients ready to go. And now, in another bowl, the dry ingredients. The flour, cornstarch, the baking powder and salt. Just kind of combine those together. Oh, looks like our butter is ready, so I'm going to take that heat off right now. Okay, and then take a big bowl, dry ingredients, wet ingredients, mix those together. And now, in goes the cabbage. Now, I find it's best to just do the cabbage like a half at a time. All you want to do is you want to get that cabbage coated with batter. Look at that. In goes the rest of the cabbage. Mix that around. All right, once that's all nicely combined like this, I'm going to bring that heat back up again. So back up to medium heat. Pan's ready hot. Oh yes. So now what we're going to do is, we're not going to cook this all at once. We're going to do about half. We're going to make two okonomiyaki cakes. Okay. So about half goes in there. And then flatten that out. I'm going to keep that roughly 3/4 of an inch, 20 millimeters, thereabouts thick. And we're going to lay half the meat across the top. Just kind of spread that across there. All right, I'm going to cook that. I'm going to fry that for about a minute. And I'm going to throw a lid on here for the rest of the time. We're going to cook this for about 5, 6, 7 minutes. Basically, we want to see it just getting golden around the edges, kind of cooking into there. We want to see that batter getting cooked. So, I'll see you in about 5, 6, 7 minutes. Right, so that cooked for about a minute with the lid off. Put the lid on, cooked it for another 5 minutes or so, about 6 minutes. It's looking pretty good. We're getting some browning around the edges. So what we want to do now is flip. Oh yeah, oh, get some meat around there. Okay, so the meat doesn't always cooperate, but look at that. That is just the perfect color for okonomiyaki. So now what I'm going to do is, this time with the lid off, I'm going to cook that for another 5, 6 minutes. You get nice and golden on that pork. Cook the pork nicely, and then we have a delicious okonomiyaki. All right, see you in another 5, 6 minutes. All right, so that's been cooking for about another 5, 6 minutes on that side. So now, just gonna slide it onto a plate. There we go. Turn that off right now. We'll cook the other okonomiyaki in a minute. All right, now we put on the toppings. Now, the sauce that we made earlier, I like to take a brush and just brush it on. So we just brush it over our okonomiyaki like this. Be liberal with it, as much as you want. Okay, and this is a really Osaka thing. It seems like Osakans, more than anybody in Japan, loves mayonnaise. So usually you're going to ask you. You're going to walk into an okonomiyaki restaurant and they say, do you want mayonnaise? I always say yes, it's good. And then they just squeeze it on in a pattern. Yeah, look at that. All right, broke the bridge a bit there. There we go. Okay, now that is your okonomiyaki ready to eat. If you can get them, this is kind of an optional. Not everybody even likes these on there, but this is called katsuobushi. These are shaved dried bonito flakes. I like them. You put them on, they kind of dance around in the heat, but not everybody likes the fishy flavor of them. So it's up to you and whether you can get them or not. So this is really an optional ingredient here. All right, there we go. Okonomiyaki, Osaka style. Enjoy. Now, if you go to the link appearing on the screen, you can get the free printable recipe for okonomiyaki, the Osaka soul food, on our website. So go print out the recipe, have fun making and eating this piece of Japan, or especially Osaka, and make cooking fun again with Kuma's Kitchen.